Congressman Pence, why a constitutional amendment? Why take that route?
Well, I think that's a great question, Libby, because I want to agree very strongly first with Jeb that we're facing a fiscal crisis, and the American people know it. I mean, we know it in our guts. I mean, we brought some of the charts that we've put together here that demonstrate, since World War II, this federal government has managed to get by on about 20 cents on the dollar in this economy. But we are on a pathway and a trajectory that by the middle of this century, we will more than double the percentage of this economy that just the federal government consumes by itself. And that's going to make the American people less free, less prosperous, and less secure. And so we need to know that first and foremost. It isn't, Jeb references the current director of the CBO, the former Comptroller General. I mean, we hear these warnings on the margin, but I think the reason why you've seen hundreds of thousands of people on the National Mall on September the 12th, the reason you've seen tea parties is the American people know we can't borrow and spend and bail our way back to a growing America. We can't continue to pile this mountain range of debt on our children and grandchildren without fundamentally changing the nature of this government. Now, you asked the question, why a constitutional amendment? Well, I'm in my 5th term. Seems longer, but I'm pushing my 10th year on Capitol Hill. I have fought against runaway federal spending under a Democrat Congress and a Democrat administration, and as my record will reflect, and so will Jeb's, we fought against runaway federal spending under Republican control in Congress and a Republican administration. And the one thing I know for sure is that everything we've tried up to this point hasn't worked, and frankly, it won't work. If Senator Bunning's experience in the last 24 hours is any teacher, PAYGO survived, what, 3 weeks? The very first bill that Democrats brought to the Senate after the President signed an executive order under the pay-as-you-go rules, they waived the pay-as-you-go rules. We saw Graham Rudman go the way of the dodo bird. We've seen pronouncements by Republicans about fiscal discipline when we were in charge, and yet government continues to expand the size and scope of government in our lives. The debt doubled under the last administration. It's scheduled to triple under this administration. And so what we've come to the conclusion of is that there has to be some outside force large enough and powerful enough to advocate for the American people in this process. And we believe that not little bipartisan commissions that have no force of law and authority, but rather the Constitution of the United States of America that will say to the Congress, this far and no farther. Now we carve out in our proposal, if there's a declaration of war, I think we went to 50% of the economy in federal spending to defeat Nazi Germany and Imperial Japan. But absent a declaration of war or a 2/3 vote in the Congress, the American people have an opportunity with this amendment to say, you can have 20 cents out of the dollar that I earn, and that's it. And anyone who thinks that's unreasonable, all we're talking about is getting by in the next century with what the federal government's gotten by with for the last 60 years. 20% has been the historic average since World War II. And if memory serves, we were under 20% way back in 2007. So this isn't radical surgery. It's going to take, we're going to have to make some choices. We're going to have to pursue reform seriously. But we really believe, my decade on Capitol Hill, Jeb's about a year behind me, has convinced me that we have to employ that power that is the Constitution of the United States, that charter with the American people, and enact this bill in the Congress, send it to the states, and let the American people say to their Congress, this far and no farther on federal spending.